Well, got a new phone, a new look, and a new project. All that and more here in a little bit. Well, welcome back, guys. A little bit to discuss here today. So I got a new discovery with the Durango behind me. Super minor. It's part of the building process. Figured to tell you guys about it. We got an update for the EJ over there. Engine's at the machine shop, and they got everything, so the short block's almost done. And then we got this Camaro over here, which may or may not be something, not really sure. But we've just been pretty busy, but here we go. So if you remember, I've been having some leak issues here on the front cover. I don't know if you can see that, but the front seal leaks. It's brand new. It's the second one because I had to take the front seal off, or the whole front cover off, before to correct a timing issue. I'm not really sure when it happened, but for whatever reason, between the machine shop and here, when I put the engine in, it jumped time. Whatever happens. Talked to my buddy Thomas, who is a whole ass master tech, was like, yeah, dude, it happens. You could put these things together, and if you don't use the zip tie to hold the chain tight when you put it on, which I think I mentioned before, the chain just falls ever so slightly one tooth off, and I battled that. So upon fixing that and having been driving it, we got a little over 4,000, almost 5,000 miles on it now. It just is an annoying little drip. It loses about a quart every 2 weeks or something like that. Not a big deal. I just maintain it. And if you haven't driven a car, you've had to maintain the oil level on. Let me tell you, it's not a big deal. It sucks being a brand new engine and all, but it is what it is. We'll work with it and we'll get it taken care of eventually. Probably later this month, maybe next month, because I have some other really exciting news to talk to you guys about. So that Camaro, oh, right there, that is my middle son's new car. Bought all by himself with his own money. Super proud of him. He always said he wanted a two-door sports car, albeit it's a V6, but it's a sports car all the same. So we're looking at putting some Corvette wheels on that, cleaning it up a little bit, and doing some really minor first car things. I wouldn't say he's a gearhead, but he is willing to do some work and to fix up his car a little bit. So it might get a stereo. We'll fix a couple odd and ends in the interior, do some body work, put a nice set of wheels on it, make it look fairly aggressive. And outside of that, if he's good with it, I'm good with it. It's his money, it's his car. I'm just proud of him that he made it happen. Now, as for this Subaru, that is almost turning out to be somewhat of a pain of my in my ass, bane in my existence, if you will. That's coming along as well. So it turns out it was all kinds of messed up. Who would have known that a $2,500 marketplace purchase with a new engine would turn out to not be what he said it was? Now, whether that was on purpose or just happened to be a product of paying really cheap labor or people to do things that they weren't qualified to do, I don't know. But what I do know is that it didn't work out. So Stanley and I talked about it, and I think I was talking to you guys about it a couple months ago when we just ripped this thing out, took it all down, and now everything is pretty much come back together. What I ended up doing was, it's an EJ25D, which is a fairly new engine code I didn't know was a thing. And it's unique to this particular car because it only came in this model for like 3 years, which is the naturally aspirated twin cam 2.5 liter. It's basically an NA version of what we all know that came in the STI. Why Subaru only did it for 2 or 3 years, I don't know. Fun fact, it also came with 2 different cranks, a 48 and a 50 millimeter, where one has a number 3, what is that? A number 3, some kind of, not thrust bearing, number 3 thrust bearing, versus everything else, STI, 2 liters, 2 tooth, whatever, have a number 5 thrust bearing. If you don't know what that is, let's see if I can find one real quick. That's just the bearing the cam just slacks against when it's on and off throttle and the crank is moving ever so slightly forward and backward. Here it is. These dudes. Okay, so unlike most engines where that sits on the end, actually I have an EJ block over here. Ironic as a would have it. So here we are. That's the front right here. So I spin this around so I can better explain to you guys what I'm talking about. This is the block back from the machine shop like I told you guys about. Minty fresh, honed decked true all the way through. Hey, that rhymes. I could be a rapper or something. Anyway, so you can see here, the furthest to, I guess, would be the left of the screen, the front of the block. And you can go back 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so back here is where thrust bearings go on every other EJ. Well, on the EJ25D, it can be here on number 3 or back there on number 5. So as you can imagine, to my surprise, sorry about that, my little brother called, and you know, family's important and all. So, but anyway, like I was saying, number 5 journal, common. Number 3 journal, not so common. And so, obviously, with that, magically the crank for said engine was completely smoked because it wasn't machined properly. And what do? I wasn't about to buy a whole new engine because it's unique to 3 years of manufacturing. Most of the cars that have this engine are in a junkyard, crushed, sitting in somebody's backyard, whatever the case. Or it's just not worth that gamble that some of us like to do, who shall remain unnamed, where you get a cheap engine from a scrapyard and run it until you can't run it no more. That's all fine and well when you're talking about LS engines, K-Series, maybe some B-Series, if there are any left in the junkyards, Coyote engines or whatever, platforms that they've made hundreds of millions of engines of all over the world. This engine ain't one of them. And so Sandy was like, let's just fix it. Can't be that bad. I mean, it's just parts at the end of the day. And he was right. So I consulted the good old Googles, and now with my new phone and its AI features, I'm able to search much more efficiently. So mostly it, kind of figured out that the EJ25D on an old forum, and for those of you who don't know what that is, there used to be these websites that people went to post questions and answer them long before social media was a thing, called web forums. And Naziak, one of the OG Subaru forums, which if you're watching this, you probably have a password you forgot you had and username for that, had a post of a guy in a similar predicament with this engine, because that's the beauty of web forums, who used EJ255 pistons in his EJ25D, and he used a 2.2 head on his. I was like, cool. So I brought the post to show Stanley. Stanley's like, yeah, as long as the numbers will work, it'll work. So long story short, this EJ25D will get a new crank that's been turned. It comes with bearings, thrust bearings, and all that good stuff. Turbo pistons. We're going to reuse the factory rods. It's a difference of 1 millimeter difference in height, which is 40 thousandths, what that equates to. We did deck the bottom side of the block to get the line bores back into spec because they were 4 thousandths out. So Stanley decked them both halves about a thou or so to bring them back down into specification. They're going to true the heads, true the top side. We're going to run a chromatic gasket. They have a EJ25D specific gasket for 30 over bore. We're going to run that in a 60 thou thickness to get the height right. And compression should be good. Displacement will only be 2.8% greater than factory, so well within the 4.8 to 10% adjustability range of the factory ECU. Other than that, we're going to clean the injectors, get some new gaskets and O-rings. I'm going to use the 11 millimeter pump that I had in my box of stuff over here from the turbo engine that I bought. Oh, it's behind me. From the turbo block that I bought a couple months back, so I can guarantee, quality crank, quality pistons, and the pistons are a Nippon parts, new out of stock deal for the EJ25. So not, any Chinese made or Amazon specials. This is all like OEM or OEM authorized stuff that I had to dig very, very hard all over the internet to find. So it should be good. We're going to run the factory cams. We'll probably get them polished just to make sure they're nice and clean. The cam saddles, they're okay. Stanley said he's not worried about it, so I'll take his almost 40 years of experience. Just look at the heads. Nah, these will clean up fine. Cool. Not going to question it. Other than that, we're pretty much good to go. We'll probably gap the rings for a little bit of boost because we all know how this goes. He might be okay with it naturally aspirated in stock right now, and then maybe in a little bit, but hey, Dad, so what's this thing called an NAT? And I'm like Bunta from Initial D, Takumi's dad. who always seem to know things that happen before they happen. So we're not going to put a race engine in it, but we are going to build, like I had said before, an OEM plus setup. So where if he wants to do a little bit of something down the line, since we already have it apart, we're going to accommodate for all that now. Other than that, we are ready to go. So what I went ahead and did was I cleaned off my table, my little construction area. That's the forged piston out of the other block that I got to verify the size on so I can get rings. But anyway, went ahead and cleaned out the work area. We should be picking up the EJ25D block, the new to it crank rods, and then the pistons and everything in a couple of days. Balanced, trued, gapped, all that good stuff. Put it together. Once we get it together, we'll put it back on the engine stand over here, wrap that in plastic, and then we'll wait for the heads to get done. Still got to order valve seals. We're going to get the valves, the seats done, check the guides, all that good stuff. And it's going to be tight, good running. It should run relatively forever as long as it's well maintained for a 16-year-old. And that's it. Now, as for that Camaro outside, like I said, it kind of depends on what he wants to do. And he's excited, but he's, you know, like I said, he's not a gearhead, so it's fine. Anything past basic cosmetics and regular maintenance, I'm cool with it. Plus, I have huge news about my friend here. And if you didn't know, this car actually has a name. And, excuse the plethora of parts. So this car actually has a name, and it's always been known as girlfriend number one, simply because when we were dating, my wife swore up and down I loved it more than her. So, ironically enough, when we got married, she had whispered to me at the altar, she's like, well, you know, it can be the girlfriend because now I'm the wife. So, a little bit of backstory there. Speaking of which, I have a video to insert right here. So you can imagine my surprise and excitement, mostly excitement, when I seen that this morning, because I made a additional folder in my Google Drive and sent it to Alex so that he could upload over there a bunch of stuff without getting it distorted in Facebook Messenger. So now that was a great surprise. On the pallet, wrapped, clean, sorted, ready to go. That should be getting dropped off to the docks sometime this evening, tomorrow morning his time, and then it'll be officially on its way over the summer, literally over the summer parts from Japan. Not Japan. The phrase is traditionally overnight parts from Japan if you're an OG from back in the day, and with just a spin on it, over the summer parts from Australia, since it's going to be like a 3-ish month trek for these parts in particular. Neither here nor there. It's exciting for me all the same, because once it hits land, man, that's it. We are committed. And I know there's quite a few people who have been following this lightly. Maybe I can get a few more subs and likes going forward, because to my knowledge, there is no record of anybody having attempted this ever, at least in the States. Plenty of guys have converted their Commodores and Monaros to all-wheel drive in Australia. Obviously, they're right-hand drive. They're plentiful there. The Adventure came out there, so it only makes sense. Like a lot of dudes have Monaros that are converted to all-wheel drive. A lot. Why there aren't more of them, I don't know, but there are. So for us here in the States, since, I mean, no cap, the parts were pretty cheap. Hilariously cheap. Like, I paid less for these parts with shipping than I paid for these wheels. And these are nice wheels. Totally worth it. So, while the parts are still cheap and obtainable, as with GTOs, because you can pretty much get them given to you, honestly, because nobody wants them outside of the LS2 they came with for the 0506 models. The T56 they came with prior to the TR6060 and the Magnums, and companies like Tick Performance building much better versions than what these came with factory. Nobody wants them. So if you are a bit of a backwoods connoisseur, engineer, if you will, of going fast on the cheap and just trying out new things, I feel like this project is going to be right up your alley. Because I would like nothing more than to start a trend with this car doing all kinds of crazy things on the internet, racetracks, no prep, whatever, Mexico, for you guys out there who are just curious if it's even possible. So that's where we're at, man. We have parts are on the way. With the green Subaru out there should have an engine by the end of this month, or at least a short block. We still got to get the heads done and everything. My goal is to get that running no later than, let's see, we're still in April. I say early May, because it's really going to depend on parts availability and time. Because we've had nothing but rain, and we got like another week and a half of rain coming up, and I got to wait on parts coming out of the machine shop, obviously. That's it for right now. Get the Subaru going, fix the leaks on the Durango, which is super minor. Parts are officially on the way for this. Once I get the green Subaru taken care of, I can jump back on the GTO more, wholeheartedly, because I have to get certain major things together, since I have to have a kid who should be able to drive himself back and forth to work here soon, and he can't do that until the car is fixed. And I can't really spend a whole lot of time on this car until that car is fixed. Plus, take care of the leaks on the other one. The Range Rover needs stuff. It's a whole thing. So, the only other speculation I'll drop for a future project / goal is this engine here. I finally figured out what to do with it. So, we'll talk more about this going forward. I am ordering some parts for it. But I got a plan, and I might even pull it off this summer. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching.